evenings, as always, will not be the same without the Têkkel Talk Show. So good evening to everyone once again. Series 3, episode number 2, and good evening to my good friend Alberic. Hoe gaat het met maat?
Hy nie ons het gewen nie naweek. Hoe kan ons klaar daaroor? Ons is jerseys verander groen toe man. So miskien moet ons Tekkel groen Tekkel jerseys doen, maar ja, lekker week hy nie. Ons is almal happy in South Africa. And yeah, we can't complain when the Boks win. So yeah, well done to the Boks.
For sure, no, for sure. Last week we were very passionate, we were very vocal, and in some instances, myself included, we were very critical of how the Springboks played. Maar hierdie week is net plain peace en goeie woorde wat ons moet toeswaai aan die Springbokke. What a comeback! What a way to bounce back, beating the All Blacks. 31 points to 29. They left it very, very late, and in the last 5 minutes. Obviously, the lead switching hands 3 or 4 times. Na Elton Jantjies se skepskop kry Bowden Bell, Johnny Barrett natuurlik vir die All Blacks weer voor en wonderlike paar sekondes van die Springbokke in die doodslike van die wedstryd stamp ons die beste span of sogenaamde beste span in die wêreld 31 punte teen 29 en Australië wat weer eens stem dik maak. Hulle tweede geëindig op die algehele punteleer 32 punte toen 17 van 18.
Yeah, great result for us. I mean, we can't complain, like I said earlier, beating the All Blacks. But yeah, what a game of test match rugby. I mean, we've been asking for the Boks to play some rugby for a change, and they've just come to the fore like we couldn't believe, running and just doing the basics very well. And it just goes to show the All Blacks aren't as invincible as we think they are. I mean, there's moments where we actually had them against that. I think we could have possibly put up another 10, maybe 12 points on them if we really used those chances, close to the goal line. But yeah, fantastic play from the Boks. Really showing what they're worth, and yeah, hats off to them.
No, for sure. So keep those comments coming. Vertel vir ons wat julle gedink het van die Springbokke se oorwinning, en dan natuurlik die treurmare vir Suid-Afrikaanse spanne duur voort in die United Rugby Championships. Hey, meneer, dit lyk vir my hier gaan ons 'n bietjie uit ons diepte wees. Hierdie naweek weer 'n kans vir die Springbokke, vir die Suid-Afrikaanse spanne om ek wil amper sê 'n bietjie lof te bring aan wat ons weet 4 redelike goeie Suid-Afrikaanse franchises is. Op die oomblik word ons van die veld afgevee.
Sure. Ja, redelik, and it's almost it's worrying to see that we're getting 30 points put on each team. I mean, that's unheard of. And the Stormers, look at the Stormers game. The Stormers had such a fantastic start in their first half. They fell away. The Lions in the very first game of this tournament played some fantastic rugby, and again they just lost their way. And that just goes to show it is a 80-minute. I think one of the European commentators said this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. They compare Super Rugby to a sprint. This in this case, URC is a marathon. So it's going to go for quite a while.
Maar ons wil ook nog nie heel agter die marathon wees. Ja, jy sukkel om die allerlei mense te kom. So jy moet dan eers aan die middel van die pad.
Ja, jy moet heel daar wees.
Ja, jy moet nou wel reg begin man. As jy agter begin maar kom ons gee vir hulle hierdie naweek nog 'n kans. Ek dink daar is plek waar ons wys ons kan rugby speel. Ja. Maar ek dink die hele opset is vreemd vir ons spanne. Jong mannetjies veral moet gewoond raak. So ek dink, jy weet, kom ons wees 'n bietjie lenient soos jy sê, kom ons gee tyd en moontlik gaan van ons groter franchises deurkom aan die einde van die kompetisie. Gilma Johnson is weer aan die beurt. Hy is hier. Ons groet jou Gilma, maar ons wil ook vir jou sê medelee daar met die All Blacks wat dan 'n lekker wallop kry teen die Springbokke. William Bruintjies wat daar Elton se lof toeswaai en ek dink Elton Jantjies verdien dit. Hierdie show is propvol, Alberic. Is 'n propvol show. Ons gaan dinge lekker opspice letterlik. Maar voor ons by ons gas kom, ons wil gou net vir julle sê ons het 'n superbroer pool gehad. Ek sê vir jou, ons het 'n superbroer pool gehad. Ek en Alberic het lekker stem dik gemaak aan die begin van die kompetisie. Ek dink ek het 'n hemmie gepool. Ek is net rooi pyltjies. Ek is aan die onderkant van die punteleer. Maar die kampioen van die kompetisie, hy het reg geraai in die kol meeste van die kere en dan ook natuurlik daai margin points opgebou. We have a champion, Aubrey McDonald wat wegstap. Hy stap weg natuurlik met hy sublimated Têkkel rugby jersey. Daai het jy ops wel gedaan my maat. Dit was hom nou lekker om te sien hoe jy vir ons 'n ding of twee wys. Want dit kom by regraai en rugby predictions. So van ons kant af, well done en 'n welverdiende kampioen van die Super Pro Rugby Championships. En ons gaan met jou kontak maak om jou grootte van jou rugby jersey te kry en dan kan jy met trots met hy tree rondstap.
Maar nie kyk tussen ons nou. Kyk, ons weet ons in hy pool dat paar gedigte manne. Maar
ja, nee, dis geleide ouens.
Maar op Tekkel is die battle tussen ek en jy. Ek is net bly ek het Desie vir jou met hy 7 punte.
Ja, ek sien.
En 8ste, so jy 10de geëindig. Jammer oor dit hy nie. So het wys net vir die seisoen van URC wie die kampioen is op die Têkkel Talk Show sover.
Ja, nee, maar kyk jy verdien hierdie ene. Ek dink die Bokke se 2 verlore teen die Aussies het my heeltemal gegooi. Ek het hulle al 4 keer 'n kans gegee. En dan natuurlik in die laaste wedstryd het ek my skuld val. Ek het gegaan vir All Blacks, ek het gegaan vir 'n narrow victory. Die Bokke daar ook. So ek dink tussen ons twee moet ek my knie buig. Ek moet my knie buig. Ek is daar aan die onderkant daar nie relegation sou nie, maar jy het vir my 'n ding of twee gewys en ons sien uit na nog 'n superbroer keer dat ek aan my naam in ere herstel.
And just to let everybody know, we still got the Tekkel jersey we're going to announce. The Superfan competition is going to be announced later this evening, guys. So stay tuned. Whoever sent us pictures, please don't go away. We're going to be announcing that winner during the course of tonight. So yeah.
Oh ja. Ons gee hom nou lekker rugby truie weg hierso vir ons kykers. So die van julle wat aanlyn is, laat julle comments kom, miskien kry julle ietsie vir julle beste comments, maar ons het 'n wonderlike gas vanaand. Ons het 'n wonderlike gas, ja, Berry, en ek dink is tyd dat ons vir hom op skerm kry, 'n voormalige junior rugby kampioen natuurlik in die finaal teen die All Blacks gewen. Hy's 'n qualified chartered accountant, al die pad daar van die klein Karoo en CFO van 'n listed company, Chief Financial Officer op die ouderdom van 34. En nou natuurlik die founder en die brein agter Jowa Spices wat so lekker ons kos lekker laat smaak. Hy het 'n spicy een, hy het 'n ding is iets vir die hoender, iets vir die chops, iets vir die ribs. Verwelkom op die Têkkel Talk Show, die man van Worcester, maar natuurlik nou wat dinge lekker opspys vir ons. Jowayne Van Wyk, Jowayne, welkom by die Têkkel Talk Show weer maat. En is lekker om met jou te gesels. Daar sit hy. Jowayne, hoe gaan dit my vriend?
Ja. Ag, Heinrich, het gaan goed, is lekker om te sien hoe die Têkkel Show se intro was. Ek het dit geniet. En ja, ek sien uit, ek het baie relax, harde dag agter die rug, maar ek is in my T-shirt, ek is in my favorite gear, Jowa, so ja, nee, ek is ready vir die, hoop ek kan nog getackel maak.
Ja, kyk eens, Jowayne, vir die van ons wat jou nie so goed ken nie, man. Voor ons kom by Jowa's en dat jy natuurlik aan stuur is van die finansies by jou groot company. Vertel vir ons 'n bietjie meer van jouself. Waar het jy groot geraak? Waarvan af kom jy?
Okay, so Heinrich, ek is oorspronklik van 'n dorpie met die naam Sutherland. Dit is meer bekend vir die teleskope, dit is ook bekend vir die koudste in Suid-Afrika. As you know, ek sien die mense gaan altyd oor Ceres aan, maar Ceres is op die berge en Sutherland sneeu het op my kamervenster. So ek promote Sutherland so 'n bietjie. Maar kom met 'n agtergrond het wat dit regtig baie taaf is. Die gemeenskap is baie afhanklik van social grants en my pa en my ma was 'n onderwyseres en principaal. Unfortunately, verlede jaar Desember het my ma weens COVID het ek haar verloor. So ja, obviously dit is hoekom ek my passie het daarvoor. En dan ja, hulle het my die opportunity gegee om met 'n klein dorpie uit te gaan na waar min resources was. En daai tyd was computer science of computer as a subject, as 'n onderwerp. As 'n vak, daar is die woord. En ek het gekyk, daar was geen skole nie. Daar was net een hoërskool, een laerskool en ek het verkies om na die sogenaamde model C-skool Worcester Gymnasium te gaan. So ja, ek kom van hy dorpie af en ja, ek probeer in tyd bly, so dit is wat ek kan vir jou altyd net sê dat as jy Karoo vleis soek, goeie biltong, goeie sterre, jou vrou wegvat, jou meisie wil wegvat, Sutherland, ek is van hy. En well done to the town.
Great,
And
great.
that's a pay for a commercial by Sutherland Tourism Department.
At least
Oh, wait, Jowa.
I was just answering where I came from. So I came from a small town. Obviously, from then I went to Worcester and onwards.
Yes.
But I mean, I had to give credit for where I came from. It's Sutherland.
But Jowayne, that is so significant. The fact that you came from the small town to where you are today, and you achieved, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in your school days, you've already, treaded some deep, hoe sê jy, the diep spore geleer, in your young days. Op Worcester Gym, you were the first head boy of color. What did that mean to you at such a young age?
For me, becoming the first colored head boy in 2004. Let me just share, and I will take a minute. I will try to stick, but I have to say this. In Worcester Gymnasium, the pupils will vote, right? And then you get onto this list of 12, which means if you were saying that the colored people were biased or black people for whatever reason, then I ended up we were only 4 out of say 12 that was chosen to be on this council. And then the council, which was predominantly 8 out of 12 white students, choose their head boy and their girl. And some people don't understand that. So 8 or 9 or actually 11, I don't know. Hopefully they won't. But bottom line is the majority voted for me as the head boy, which was I sort of expected it because I was the first team captain for 2 years since then at 9. But being the head boy and then deputy head boy of this hostel was a big honor. Coming from a small town, it showed that you can, and all my achievements, but all glory to God. I think that people saw something back then which I probably didn't see in myself, to be honest. And what I've learned is to just be humble, to be a team player. And I must be honest with you, it wasn't easy being the colored head boy. You go to other schools where maybe, there was predominantly white head boys. And I will remember one event at the Arctic 4 Gautini Spa, where all the head boys went. And at that moment, they asked questions. And I realized in the whole building, I'm actually the only one of color here, And that day, it dawned on me how big it is. And since then, I didn't take it lightly. I performed probably 200%. But I think Worcester Gymnasium since then has transformed a lot. And yeah, I'm still a proud Bosvark. And for me, it still is one of the highlights. I see today they were posting about me, and I really appreciate that. But I'm a humble person, and I like to I surround myself with intelligent people. So there were people that I was on the top 20 to 10, but you have the number 1, the number 2, and the number 4. They were also serving on the council. So you surround yourself with the right people, and then I just execute the mandate. And yeah, hopefully it changed, and people still probably enjoys the Jowas now in Worcester. And I think the support coming from the school is very big at this stage.
Yeah, no, for sure, and obviously there might be a lot of people from Worcester Gymnasium, previous students, alumni online. Keep that comments coming. We're going to show some of those comments on the show later on. So if you're online, you recall Jowayne being your head boy or being a head boy at the school when you were a scholar. Please keep that comments coming. Ons het natuurlik vir Heinie Wenzel wat sê hy onhou vir Jowayne wat gespeel het vir Worcester Villages teen Wesbank. En dan natuurlijk wat hy sê, Monty Liebenberg wat groete stuur. Ja, ons weet Jowayne natuurlijk later in sy carrière teruggekom Worcester Villages toe. Daar so 'n bietjie center gespeel en ons gaan later 'n bietjie daaroor ook 'n bietjie aanraak. So as Worcester Villages mense online is, laat ons hoor van julle. Hoe lyk julle span nou na COVID? Want Ebbsdale en Wesbank is lus vir Worcester Villages. Dit kan ek julle sê. Jowayne, jy het ook op 'n tyd 'n aspirasie gehad om 'n professionele rugby speler te word. Jy was 'n redelike goeie rugby speler, het die Junior Boks gerepresent. As jy nou terugkyk, was dit 'n baie groot droom vir jou destyds om dalk die professionele era as 'n rugby speler te betree?
Heinrich, om eerlik te waar vir jou te sê, ek dink my akademie was altyd sterk in my sport, sodat ek het altyd geweet dit sou 'n moeilike keuse wees, but in matriek het PwC PricewaterhouseCoopers my beurs aangebied om chartered accountant te swat en ek het dit van die hand af gewys van maties op daai stadium en het toe met 'n beurs in pikke. En ek is maties toe, maar obviously toe die SA19 span gemaak en 'n junior WP kontrak gehad. So ek was gekontrakteer op 'n junior vlak. So almal het 'n aspirasie. Daai tyd was die centers, jy sien, dis juniors en dan John de Villiers en Sarah Potgieter en so die al die manne. En ja, dit was 'n droom en dis seker een van die goed wat my die meeste emotional maak omdat ek het 'n opportunity gekry om my senior cup vir WP te speel in 2007 rond en ons het toe vir maties teen wat se plek Koffsies Vrystaat het ek gespeel. Daai dit was Pieter de Villiers en daai het 'n bietjie gejoin by maties Sean Roo, Kirk en al die manne en ons het 'n goeie game met Brent Russell se broer Andy gehad. Ons het regtig my beste game in 'n lang tyd personally. Het ek gevoel dat ek begin vorm strike. Gary Gold was uit die Vodacom Cup en hy het altyd gesê dat wanneer ek kom toe terug van 'n besering af en ek was in die Vodacom squad, jy speel jy know en score, ek val op my maag. Ek dink ag, is maar net seker, you know. Dis maar net 'n klein beseringkie. Jy's maar seker seer. En die Sondag kan ek nie loop nie in my onder 21 jaar. En wat daar gebeur het toe is die Maandag kry ek 'n call-up dat ek moet aanmeld en ek is in die staat in die 22 vir WP senior span. En ek moet vir die coach hy dit sê, ek dink Mr. Denny weet jy is 'n chippy is of Denny nie, maar die realiteit is ek moes toe sê dat ek is beseer. En hy het my in 2008 het dit my hele jaar uitgehou. 6 maande met 'n piepesbeen breek en ek kon nooit weer speel nie en toe maak ek honneurs en toe moet ek die harde call maak vat ek chartered accountant honneurs want jy kan nie albei doen nie. Wel, jy kan seker, Anton van Sail het dit gewys, maar ek dink vir my was dit net die gamble was groot en jy het nie 'n kontrak toe gehad nie. En ek het so dit sal altyd die droom wees. Daarom speel ek speel over 35s, 10 Super Bros. Ek het nou die dag gesê ek wil nog so club game of 2 speel want ek hoef niks te bewys nie, maar as daar iets is wat ek dink ek net kan noem wat gebeur het in 2005 wat ons nog seker sal kom, maar toe ons na die eindvletjie toe die bal uitgeskop word, was my woorde geet vir Frans Steyn. Want François en ek het saam centers gespeel 2005 en ek weet net dat dis hy moments wat François leef en dan sit jy terug en jy dink yes, like it. Het ek die verkeerde Lions, moes ek die Lions toe gegaan het, moes ek die, you know, but anyway, dat is altyd 'n droom wees wat ek dink een van die goed is wat ek moet eerlik wees wat ek is dankbaar dat ek daar gespeel het, maar nie om 'n WP Karoo Cup te kry. Dit was die droom gewees om 'n professionele rugby speler nie noodwendig te word, maar net om daai, you know, hy goal te geëet. En ek hoop ek antwoord jou Henry.
Ja, nee, verseker. En natuurlik ons weet beserings het jou gekreë, maar is goed om te kan hoor dat jy het 'n droom gehad, maar jy was ook koelkop genoeg om die harde besluite te maak en as ons nou kyk na ons gaan later praat oor jou listing 35 under the age of 35 in Suid-Afrika. Het jy die regte besluite gemaak op daardie tydstip en nou kan jy terugkyk en sê miskien pluk jy nou die vrugte daarvan.
Ja, ek dink Heinrich, om eerlik waar te wees, ek dink rugby is 'n professionele sport, maar dit bly nog steeds fun. En ek dink die fun gedeelte raak baie keer uit die weg het geruim wanneer dit 'n werk raak. En ek dink terug dat sou ek dit kon doen en ek moet eerlikwaar wees, ek love it, maar as ek nou in die oggende oefen, ek probeer nou weer gewig afgooi, dan dink ek nee, ek is happy waar ek nou is.
That's what you call a groot man's realization.
Yes.
But with that said, Jowayne, I mean, guys, just viewers out there, we have a Junior Rugby World Cup winner on the show tonight. I mean, that you don't see every day. But with that said, 2005, you guys won. You were part of the Rugby World Cup junior squad. You won the Rugby World Cup. how was that moment for you? I mean, you touched on it now and you praat in the eindvletjie. But how was that moment for you when it whistle blew? I mean, I'm sure you could see your life ahead of you, and what you could still achieve.
I think on my LinkedIn profile, when I was announced with this chartered accountant, one of the guys that really commented was Coach Loffy. And he said to me, he gave, and one thing about Coach was that you always know if you're going to start or not. So I was, to be honest, I was number 13. I used to play 13. And at some point, shifting to 12 in between because Francois was playing 12. And then what happened is, I have to just take you before the final. In the semi-final, we played England. And that game, we had a lot of changes. Back then, Chandra Frolic, Chelly Boy, Ralapele, Richard Strauss, Yellis Hargreaves. That was the team. Francois Stein. Francois going to fullback, Chandra going to wing, and Jody Rose, who know him, and PJ Van Meulen from the Greek was, and myself. And that was a hard game. I at one stage, to be honest, I was playing with an injury, which not many people would know, but I was playing with an injury. Now the physio of the sevens, you would tell you
Yeah.
that I was playing with an injury in that game, and at the last 5-10 minutes, I was lying. You were tackling like the whole game, to be honest. That English guys were coming, and we were, but we were very determined. We won it, but I remember the last 5 minutes. I hearing him clearly saying over the thing. I said, Lofi, I can't. I have to come off. I can't feel my shoulder anymore. I can't feel my hammy. And the guy just said, you're staying on. You have to. So going into the final, I wasn't. Obviously, you do the fitness test, and I think it took a very wise decision. So I went to the bench. But one thing about him was he basically told everyone who's gonna play and who's not gonna play. And halftime, I went on because PJ got injured. And guess what? This injury pops up. And because that wasn't the plan. And then you had New Zealand. And and I remember the moment is they gotta, firstly, the haka is next level. To face it, and they take off their shirts. Like, I managed, Peter Myberg is going to give me, but they take off their shirts. Like, six pack, Mauri, the tongue is out there, and my wife supports the All Black, but she was born in the All Black house. But I said to her, I faced your haka, and we I still remember it. We got somehow turnover ball, and there's a guy named called Randall April, not even Francois, and somehow he got a chippy, and the ball just bounced. He got it. He passed it to Sandre score. But then we were leading the game, and there was like 2 minutes left, and New Zealand. They will come 80 minutes, 85 minutes, and they were coming. What happened is they got the breakthrough because I was sitting. They got the breakthrough, and guess what happens? The guy across the try line dropped the ball because he was
Oi.
Oh,
celebrating too quick. But that
that
wasn't
record,
big.
yeah.
We can, he was celebrating and he dropped the ball. And a minute there, we kept it close, and the rest is history. I mean, you were, you see the world is medal. You go into Durban, it's open up for the world champs. You're on that level. So I can't imagine for the World Cup winners of the World Cup in 2019 how that must have felt. But that's why looking at Richard, Francois, knowing Francois kicking 60 penalties. I always say that's the guys. Same with Elton. That's the guys that you want to have in your team because they thrive. Francois, hy hou van BMT, big match temperament. Give the
Yeah.
ball, and you could see that coming forward, taking the ball, and so that is, guys. I look at the medal, and I was like, one thing you can't take away. I've beat the All Blacks myself. That's it. However, I must say as a disclaimer that that guy called Tuyava. He played for the
Yeah.
All Blacks. He got injured against Australia, and he was going to play. I was doing analytics on him, and finally got injured. I'm like, okay, let's just put that aside because he was really. He was that big. But yeah, for me, Heinrich and Karoo, is that was a big moment, and with that will forever cherish.
some of the guys you mentioned now, and many of the other guys, obviously, we believed also Sandri Frolic had the credentials to go on. Unfortunately for him as well, the injury. You've mentioned some of the big guys. One of them, Francois Steyn. Speak about seeing the Springboks against the All Blacks now last week. There's a lot of people, myself included, I believe that our Springboks had it in us to play a more expansive game. We had the Elton Yankees, the Hurster Yankees, Lucanio Arms that can do magic things. Now you guys, you obviously as a former player, sometimes playing against these guys. What was your impression after we beat the British and Irish Lions? We go to this kicking game. As a rugby player, sometimes also a mentor for young players, what was your impression about this kick and chase approach and what you saw as a Springbok fan now?
I must be honest with you, when you see Faf going again and again and again, it reminded me of my days at Marty's, where you had Sean Roux and all these guys saying to you, this is the pattern. Jowayne, I know you can play flair, but this is what works for the team. So I always, as a rugby player, know, coming from a professional environment, that Faf would probably want to play. But he understands they've worked out what is the weakness of the All Blacks for that game. However, they've changed. What they've really surprised is what they did with England, is that turnover ball, they weren't just kicking away anymore. They were going to keep it a bit closer, but they haven't deviated from their plan. And I must say to you, I always say to people when I speak to them, I'm like, the Francois, the Eltons, whatever, if you read, these guys were holding bags. And, yes, we argue, we want Cheslin there, whatever. But one thing that I've learned is they must be ready. So the game plan was, we're going to do this for 60 minutes. It's boring. It works for us because we understand that if you give the ball to the All Blacks, they will come at you, they'll run at you. So you have to almost pressure defense them. And then you hope. Some people say it's a hope, right? We kick and hope. I think the coaches, they've worked out that what is our strength of winning the ball back. So it's not a hope. It's like we know 7 out of 10 times we can get it back because we've got A, B, C, and D. And if that works 7 out of 10 times, you go with a ratio. Sometimes the All Blacks, so the All Blacks was expecting that. But the big change for me was, to be honest, Eldon coming on at that stage, not playing. But what I've learned and what I've heard through many people in the group and people I know is he's a team guy. He's doing the analytics. Yeah. He's helping Pollard, all of that. So there's a team spirit. So when he came on, you could see even Pollard giving the ball to him. The final penalty, like, you kick, was for me like, nah, there's a understanding that we don't know as fans. Yeah. But it worked, and they're not going to change it. I would like to see us spreading the ball. I mean, the arms pass, and I mean, Francois can play the Mal game. He can run it, But for me, it's just great to win the All Blacks. I love it. I can't. I mean, I would be on the Super Bros, the stands. I go mad. I go like, I will, you in their faces. And my wife, I tell her, don't talk to me. I don't talk to small All Blacks or big All Blacks, So yeah, it's big for the country. It's big for the country. When the South African wins, he just loves the spirit.
Yeah, very good. He's got the passion here. I think he should have entered the competition. And speaking about fans, yes. We had a competition. We narrowed it down to 3. And then, Jowayne, we're going to put you on the spot now to choose the 3. Obviously, there you have the competition. Ons het gesê, bring die gees, soos Jowayne ook gesê het, hy is mal toe ons die All Blacks klap. Super fan competition. Yeah. We had a shortlist of 3. En ons wys of julle die 3 dae het ons vir Hein Pieterse, en het lyk vir my agter hom staan, is dit met die Vos de Jager daar, met sy Springbok trui. Hulle natuurlik eerste finalis. Daar natuurlijk nummer 1, die tweede finalis, daar het ons vir Alexis Wilskut, sy en haar dogtertjie wat pronk met 'n Springbok vlag, en dan natuurlijk het ons nummer 3, hierdie man lyk na hy's 'n professionele rugby speler, kyk hy spiere, hy wys daar sy spiere hier te die man. Hy staan daar met sy cowboy hoed. Ons het vir hom daar's ons top 3. En vir al die ander mense wat ingeskryf het, well done. Baie dankie vir julle inskrywings. Ons het hierdie 3 gekies, Jowayne. Ons het 3 mooi finaliste hè.
Ek moet sê as baie tight. Baie tight, but unfortunately, my choice, looking at just on, we're not seeing these picks before this, I would go with the lady. I like the cowboy. I like the flag. I like the box. I like the, for me, she just, and it's August was Women's Month, so I think I'm getting some good points. But yeah, I'll give it to Alexis for this one.
Alexis Wilskut, nummer 2. Alexis, well done. Daar het jy Alexis Wilskut en ek sien daar Kyle wat sê, she missed the competition. Unfortunately, we will run more competitions, but obviously Alexis wat weerstap haar met haar sublimated Têkkel Talk Show 3. Alexis, ons gaan kontak maak met jou. Wel gedaan.
Yes,
en Jowayne, baie dankie vir daai nominasie.
And that's our
first team.
Maar Jowayne, jy het toch gemention, ons praat so net oor die bokke nou, en jy was 'n center geweest. Ek en hy net so debatteer, hy nie, hoe sê ek? Debatteer, moet nie speel nie.
We're getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Ons het debatteer oor die feit dat, die skuif op die einde vir Pollard na 12 toe, en natuurlijk Elton wat op 10 gespeel het. In die weekend het ons gehoor op een van die supersport shows waar Swyts gepraat het oor die feit dat die skuif baie interessant is. En eintlik, ek dink is 'n paar keer waar as hulle saam gespeel het op hy posisies, het die bokke eintlik die game gewen. Wat dink jy van Pollard op 'n 12? Ek weet Damien natuurlik is natuurlik incumbent. Maar wat dink jy van 'n Pollard op 12 en natuurlik Elton op 10? Wat dink jy van hy kombinasie?
Om 'n eerlike antwoord te gee, as ek nou net ek like die feit dat Pollard het die 10, maar hy is physical, but he can distribute. Where Elton, it's gonna come flat. He's got the flair and he's gonna bring it. So it depends which style you want to play, but I think that's worthwhile giving that maybe on the year end to a go, because every time it's somehow, because I think Elton and Pollard understands, they say you always have to understand the 10, and so he knows when to because Pollard can take it flat, but the one thing is we have to bring Amon to the game. However, Damien has been playing good rugby, so I think it should be how can I say this? I think it's worth trying to see how it goes, because I think now everyone is singing Elton's praises, but maybe we have to see it more, and maybe give Damien a rest, because we know he's maybe give him a rest, and I think Elton and they can play it wide depending what we want to play. If you want to go hard, Damien is your guy. If you really want to see the ball, the Pollard brings the physicality, but he can also be the fly off. So I would like to see that. I still think that Elton is probably very unlucky when it comes to criticism, but he's stepped up, and I really appreciate his confidence. And Polly has been saying that, when he speaks about Elton, he speaks good. So when you're in the team, but Vali, I mean, Vali, some people will say a lot of things, but again, maybe it was an off day, whatever. Yes, Fassi is good, whatever. But I think there's a mentoring system happening that we don't know. But the team is happening. So I would give Elton a nice run with Polly, and we'll see how it goes.
And just with that said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that depth as a strategy change. Come halftime, something didn't work, and you make that switch. There's nothing wrong with that. The All Blacks do that on the switch, and there's nothing wrong with us building that depth for future games.
Yeah, for sure. It's good competition.
Yes, and I really think, just one comment on that. I think you have Richie Mwanga and Beauty just switching. So we have to learn more to see what works, and I think it's worthwhile. It also builds well for, and maybe I should maybe giving Ursula a little bit more time, but it depends again what they want to play, and I think at the year end tour, I think we're building to 2023, and I think the coach knows what he's doing, and I'm on the couch. I can criticize, but it's difficult being in the camp.
No, for sure. Wise words from Jowayne. Ons het vir Devo Green, hy nie en toe speel die bokke so vragtig soos hy voorspel het. Ja, ons het nou laas week het Devo gesê, jy weet, hy kry hoendervleis, jy weet, ons moet 'n bietjie meer balans hê. Devo Green gesê, we need a balance. We can kick, but there's a balance. Sometimes we need to attack more. When we have the turnover ball, we need to attack. And like Jowayne said, we did that against England, but against Australia twice. I think we squandered a lot of opportunities. I don't believe that the Aussies will come at us and beat us again twice because we've learned through that mistakes. Again, the first test against New Zealand, we've lost and we take the loss. But ek was passievol want ek het geweet ons kon hy span wen if we just played the situation a little bit better. Yeah. But you know, great comments from Jowayne. Let's get into the spices, Jowayne. Ons sien hoe mooi jy daar sit. Ek natuurlik daarso kan jy sien. Ek my hot and spicy. Okay. Brian September. As jy kyk meneer, ek sien ek is al die halfpad, jy moet dit reg maak.
Hy gaan nie ophou nie. Brian gaan nie. Ek kan sien dis kom WhatsApps dat deur kom. Brian sê vir my, luister ek, hy moet uit 'n shot. En hy moet uit 'n shot. Ja, yes.
Goeie rep. Vertel gou vir ons die idee. Ons almal ken Jowa spices, brilliant spices, basting sauce, 'n bietjie van hot sauce. Waar die idee begin? Kan jy ons terugvat early 2021 toe jy besluit ek het 'n opportunity, miskien moet ek dit omsit in 'n business.
Ja, kyk, ek is altyd die ou wat by die braais kom. Ek like braai. En so 4 jaar terug het ek vir my 'n gasbraai gekoop en almal was like, is die kolle nie. Maar ek het die passie gehad want ek het iets nodig gehad wat rugby kan replace het. Op 'n Saterdag, want jy kan nie meer regtig speel hier so. En dit toe begin ek dit noem Uncle Grill. En ek begin grill en 'n vriend van my kom Januarie, Nazim van Sitters, en ons sê ons doen 'n live show, maar nou nie soos die show nie, is net vir fun, verstaan? En ons sit daar en ek kom hier aan, ek sê my vrou, ek gaan my eie spice maak. Sy sê vir my, come on. Ek sê vir man, ek kom altyd agter dat byvoorbeeld ek het bloeddruk van nature, right? Dis 'n hoe noem dit, genetic thing.
Geneties.
Maar ja, dit is geneties en ek was my fikste en dit het gekry op 29 whatever en ek al gesê is dat yes man, die pink sout is goed, ek verstaan dit. Ek hou van spices, ek like dit met juicy wees en maybe. En ek het begin Google en ek kan vir jou sê, nee, wie is jy, wat is jou kwalifikasie, nee, dit gaan nie werk nie. Even, ek kan vir jou sê, ek dink behalwe die vader se geduld in my idee en blessings, het seker alleen geglo dat ek gaan iemand kry, en ek ontmoet, wat ek nie nou kan noem op die kom, right? Maar ek kan noem Gerard, hy en sy company export 90%, en klein company, of as hy 'n listed die, well known, hulle doen 2 big retailers, en ek kry toe somehow 'n CV, ek email die ou, hy reply, die anders het nie gereply nie, hy reply, maar ek probeer sê, maar kan ek jou nommer kry nie, jy weet mos nou hy,
ja, ek verstaan,
maar ek wil sê, wat is die proses, en eventually sê, jy weet hy, wat ek ook maar doen, praat met die PA, of I'm not busy, of jy weet dan, eventually gee hy sy kantoornommer, en ek sê, okay, is fine, ek bel toe, hy sê, okay, kom ons nou sê, is Woensdag, hy gee my toe 'n nommer vir volgende week en Dinsdag, nou, met my eie werk, wat ek sal touch, is ek klaar besig, nou, jy mag dalk 'n board meeting het, which means, you won't have time to obviously attend to this important, for him it's important, you mess it up, so I obviously made sure that whole part, I booked out, and I got on a call with him, and he asked me all these questions. What are you looking at minimum quantities? What do you know about spices? What do you know? So some of the answers was like, no, that doesn't make sense. The chartered accountant, the SA Rugby, the World Cup, nothing could convince that guy, except coming from the Karoo. I'm from Sutherland, he's from Carnarvon. And because we come from the same area, like 160 kilometers, he says, I know the Karoo people. I'll give you a chance to take a recipe change it a bit to what you think, and let's see. But you still have to order 2,000. Imagine 2,000 chicken and not having a market at all. Not, but I've been spit braaiing with the spices. My wife, I asked her, everything was tasty chicken, juicy. You name it, we've done it. Braais. People did, so they were giving compliments. Oh, it tastes nice, whatever. But I wasn't telling them. So I've tested this thing probably for about 3 months solidly on family. And obviously then a spit braai. We were actually then invited to my first spit braai was at the wedding. And we were running the whole. Cohen is one of the virtual owners today, which we'll touch on. But we did his wedding and we did all the marinades, all the spices was just with Jowas. And people loved it. And that's where I'm now willing to put my label on. And then I got the guy to say, give me 200, man. I mean, 2,000. Let's be honest now. And today we're in WhatsApp. You will WhatsApp me. You will give me a call. When we're out of stock, I can give him a call. And going from not responding to being on WhatsApp, having a call, it was hard work, but I wish I could mention the name, but obviously due to confidentiality and any non-disclosure agreements, because it's got Woolworths and Spar, and so I'm having that in. I can mention that, but I can't mention the supplier. So again, then I fell in love into spicing. Looking at snook now, looking at potjiekos, it's like my whole life. When I look at figures, on that note, what you're showing on the screen is the spices, but the logo of the sauces, they put a sticker because people couldn't wait. So now in 2 weeks' time, end of October, we're launching the full Jowa label and on the sauces, and I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'll tell you, Alberic, I'll tell you, he's got this business thing shown out. There's a guy here in my area, he gives me a call. He tells me, listen, it's your Jowa's approved. Ek sê vir Brian, wat is die? Hy sê nee, jy kan 'n combo koop vir die prys, is die basting sauce en hy bring jy goed. But I can tell you guys, it's probably one of the better spices in terms of affordability, in terms of the taste. Ja, Berry, as jy nie Jowa's in jou huis het nie, dan kan jy nie braai nie. So ek dink
and the slogan and Heinrich, we have to put the slogan Afrikaans says ons braai nie meer ons Jowa. So in English, if you're still having a braai of a barbecue, it's not that if you don't have it with Jowas. So if you on Tekkel and you still, and a big thing is we don't have maize in our spice. I will leave it. Go check everyone, viewers, check your spices behind. And if you can see there's no ingredients of maize, which means an Afrikaans meal. Sal jy met meel braai? Ek weet nie, maar Jowa sit die meel in nie. That's it.
Wow.
Great product.
And I mean, you've got you mentioned now you're launching the new brand, if I'm not mistaken, or the brand.
It's just if I have to take. So if you look at my logo, so they just put the logo as a sticker, but the ingredients is the same, and we just use the export quality. The recipe will change slightly. And but very slightly, you won't even taste it. And but then it will have the full Jowa label. But I had to order like 50,000 sleeves as an investment before the sleeve company said yes for the sleeve. Yes. We've put a lot of investment, but I know there's a follow-up question on this. So now I'm excited. I love it. We're making waves.
And with that said, I mean, you started this in 2021. I mean, established 2021.
Yes.
I mean, we're only in October now. I mean, I always want to ask you what's next. My next question would have been what's next in the next 5 years. What do you see? But I almost want to ask you what's next for Jowa's in the next 3 months, because the rate of
fast is moving.
Fantastic, yeah. So what's next besides this new launching of this label? What's next for Jowa's spices?
So one step back. So what we're trying to do is we've got 5 products, and the message is very clear. And and maybe I can probably, one of the questions will probably this virtual ownership thing. So OK's got an agreement where the owner can buy spices in or sauces which he likes without going to the head office. And I saw that as opportunity. And we got Worcester and Sutherland, my hometown, and Lainsburg on board. But then I stopped and I'm like, you know what? Why must I phone OK? Nothing wrong with them. but I'm not creating jobs, right? And then I'm like, I've been in network marketing. I've been in, test. I can see the concept, but I don't like it to be a pyramid scheme. How about I give each person his own Jowa store, give him at the cost price, which I drop my margin. He runs it as a Jowa virtual owner, which means he doesn't have to, physically, it's his building wherever Brian is, and he makes money. He sells it into the community, hence we're saying it's the people's spice. And in the community, for the community, which means now I can impact more people, because if I can have 5 virtual owners instead of 1, okay, yes, we will have okay, but and we still have okay, but I'm skipping the traditional distribution channels. As you know, it's very hard because it's easy to get things now to Springbok. I have to have a deliver. I got my cousin got involved, and people are just yelping. The virtual owners are really the backbone, and they understand that I drive this thing. That I've even told them before this meeting, I want you to drop 50 cents for 2 months of your profit and just give it to an unemployed guy. See if it works. And that is a drive, Heinrich. And yes, so I can't pronounce the name, but I will say L.
Yeah,
But
L.
Al Barrick, but I will say Al. But I'll say Al Barrick is that it's it's South Africa needs job creation. We have a SASA grant of 350. I can tell you that if you the best virtual owner probably makes easily over 10k profit easily. With and now we've moved to having 32 virtual owners from 2 months ago of having 8, and we now have entered Bloemfontein. And George, the one guy in George, resigned yesterday, and he said he's just doing Jowa's full time. That's it, and that's a lot of pressure on me.
Wow.
But that shows the confidence in the brand, and so I protect this brand with my whole heart and the vision. I'll let people run their game, but there's a retail price that you're not going to go over that. This is your margin. You play within that, and we will build it, and we'll create jobs. And if we can have 500 virtual owners, but you asked me the question, I am of the view that in the next year we'll have 500 virtual owners. We'll probably be in all provinces, and we'll take some market share for a fact.
Great,
Awesome.
man.
Wow.
Obviously, before we get to the close of the show, then we have Clayton Smith. Springbok en Jowa is dieselfde WhatsApp groep, maar is lekker. Ek hoop Clayton daar sê die man as comments, keep that comments coming. Ek kan nie alles even beter as Cristiano Ronaldo sê. Ek sien dit lyk ja Man United ouens wat hier op die dinge is William Breintjies natuurlik, hoendervleis definitief. Wou Jowa vleis op my arms gooi. Die ouens is warm. Jowayne, before we wrap it up, what we're trying to figure out, a chief financial officer of a listed company, a chartered accountant, let's call it the founder and the owner of Jowa's Grill, doing spices with 32 virtual owners. How do you strike the balance, being a family man as well?
You know, I have to give credit to my wife. I've got a lovely wife. I think she probably listened to the most crazy ideas that I ever have. And she looks after the kids. We've got, that's our 10-year anniversary this year. So that's my lovely wife, Yvette. And the kiddies, I've got a 5-year and a 3-year-old. So they sometimes understand that what we're doing is a legacy. But I teach them that, in order to impact lives, you basically have to impact people first. And for me, striking the balance is my CEO at AEI allowing me to, and shareholders allowing me to explore this venture, and not holding me back. And but having my wife at the back end running a lot of these things for me, obviously there will come a point in time where decisions has to be made depending on the growth and all of that. But how I strike the balance, I've got a good team. I've really got good chartered accountants under me, and they fully understand. I operate from a goal, a target, and I use the rugby analogy in my daily workings, Heinrich. Ek werk op, ons is 'n team, ek is nie 'n CFO nie, ek is maar net 'n title. If I have to get my hands dirty, sometimes I get home at 1 and whatever. But what we're trying to do is we try to prevent things going forward. So my approach in leadership style is let's plan for the worst so that when we get through the normal things, when it happens, it's not. So we work hard you see, some people, when they relax, they don't do any work. I teach my people differently. When you relax, you eat the elephant while you're still relaxing. So when the time comes where there's deadlines, the elephant is almost done. And we can see that working. That's my leadership shell. The JSE, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of, you have the market, you have the articles, you have so many things. Any newspaper can write. I mean, Tekkel can say things, But how I keep myself sane is to say, whatever I can control, which is the financials. I mean, we're looking at 7 billion assets and 3 billion revenue. But you know what? I've learned rugby. It's just another game. And this is where I go back to when we won to my rugby days and many Worcester villages, is going back to the core, is that it's still just financial statements. That's it. The hoo-ha and all of that. So for me, I strike the balance, and the Jowas is my CEO told me now, and I have to say, it started as a joke because I was like, I enjoy this. So this was for me like relaxing from the JC environment. Now it becomes a bit more hectic as we grow, but hopefully one day, Jowas, let me put it out there. We never know. We might list Jowas in future, and have a Jowa's restaurant. But that is just in the pipeline to answer Al on this one. That in the pipeline for Worcester, there's definitely a Jowa's restaurant in the making, and we want to have the cleaner and the cook and whoever works to own the store at least 40%. So that is so we going crazy, but we're going to disrupt. And we will get opposition, but having this platform, guys, promoting, having me on the show, it means a lot. I'll share it. My virtual owners will share it, and we will promote your brand. And hopefully this is not the last time. Maybe you never know. So striking the balance is like coming home and giving my wife a kiss. That's the striking the balance,
Brilliant. Great, Ben. Great. We've got also some more, to God to glory, such a humble hearted person. And we can obviously we can hear that we have also got Kevin Les wat praat. Ek weet Kevin ook connecties met Worcester. Is dit al wat ek gebruik, jou wings and chops met die sous Worcester United se golfdag was tops. En Asraf Suleiman wat ook daar so sê, jy weet hy gaan met jou kontak maak om deel te raak van hierdie wonderlike geleentheid, en ek is seker ons sal op ons Facebook page later sal ons dit bekend maak. Maar ek dink Jowayne, van ons kant af, as jy nie vertroud is met die show nie, hoop ons jy gaan in die toekoms weer kyk. Ons het 'n slogan waar ons sê we encourage a culture of recognition. Ons kry manne soos jy, normale manne soos jy, maar ouens wat 'n verskil gemaak het, mense wat 'n skool kon lei as headboy, met humble beginnings van die Karoo in Sutherland, homself gaan kwalifiseer het as 'n chartered accountant, en nou gelys is natuurlik as een van die top 35 most influential persone in jou veld. Jy sal iets op Jowa Spices, jy het nie geweet wat voor lê nie, maar jy weet, en daar sit ons met die spices in ons huise, en natuurlik nou ook 'n CFO op die ouderdom van 34 jaar oud, as jy 'n leier van 'n span. En ek dink ons en almal rondom ons kyk op na manne soos jy, daar van Worcester, daar wat jy 'n verskil maak. Mag dit goed gaan met jou besigheid, en mag jy die nederige persoon bly, en mag daai inspirasie om altyd terug te gee jou aanwakker en inspireer om altyd terug te gee aan mense. Jy kon maklik jou spices nie verkoop het in ou Minimark en Spar, maar jy het gesê I want a virtual ownership. En dit is hoekom ons vir Jowayne dankie sê. Ons wens jou voorspoed toe. Ons weet dat jy vir baie jare nog groot waves gaan maak in die spice en die grill en die braai industrie. En daar wat jy natuurlik ook in jou finansiële karier aspireer om nog verder te gaan, weet ons en vertrou ons dat dit so goed gaan. Baie dankie dat jy ons gejoin het, en stuur groete aan jou vrou en al jou virtual owners daar van Jowa Spices.
Baie dankie. Ek wil net sê vir Tekkel, ek eindig af om te sê baie dankie vir die geleentheid. En ja, soos ons slogan sê is dat as jy nie braai nie, wat doen jy dan? Jy Jowas, and it's a people spice, and I will still say it's in the community, for the community, selling for the community, creating jobs. And thank you very much, Al. Nice meeting you guys. Thank you to all the viewers.
What is
No problem. Jowayne Van Wyk van Jowa Spices natuurlijk vanavond op ons show. En as julle hou van wat julle sien, check ons uit Jalberg, @Tekkel Chat op YouTube, op Facebook, op Twitter. En gesels saam, klets saam. En as julle weet van verskilmakers in julle gemeenskap, drop ons hy lyn. Tot volgende week, dan praat ons weer. Stay safe.